My name is Sarah Henry, the host of The Activist Lawyer, offering a platform for lawyers to share their story and journey into law and activism. Guests will discuss the challenges and highlights of their work, as well as important cases, opinions on legal and political matters, and will offer advice and tips for anyone interested in pursuing a career in human rights law, public interest law, or criminal justice, among others. So tune in and engage with us, and please share and review where possible so we can keep bringing you insightful episodes featuring fantastic guests. Today, I interview Courtney Teasley, who joins me from her office in the United States. Courtney is a criminal defence attorney and advocacy strategist and founder of MFN. Now, this introduction will be a little bit longer than usual, but I think it's important to capture everything here because Courtney is a nationally recognised criminal defence attorney, business coach and visionary educator, shifting the paradigm on how we fight systemic injustice. As the founder of MFN, and we'll share links to that in our show notes, and creator of the MFN Framework for Proactive Advocacy, Courtney leads a movement to empower disproportionately affected, marginalised minorities. She'll refer to this quite a lot. It's D.A.M.M, D.A.M.M, with the legal knowledge and strategy to prevent convictions before the courtroom ever comes into view. Her impact spans grassroots campaigns, justice-focused curriculum development, and legal education for both community members and lawyers. Through her Easy Way to Learn Your Rights book series, school-based criminal justice literacy programs, and D.A.M.M advocate and legal warrior trainings, Courtney equips everyday people, educators, and defence attorneys to proactively resist the criminal justice system's most insidious traps. Whether speaking to students, churches, or national organisations, she delivers bold, accessible frameworks that challenge the status quo and offer real community-rooted alternatives. Her work has not only influenced elections, but has also helped reunite families separated by state violence and launched legal innovations that are reshaping justice across the country. So, today's episode is a little bit different. We're looking at someone who has combined her activism and her legal background with her entrepreneurial spirit and has moved into educating communities and coaching lawyers to fulfil their ambition and to be bold and brave, sell their services and their talent and skills. It was a real pleasure to talk to Courtney. She's a real breath of fresh air. So I hope you really enjoy today's episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Activist Lawyer podcast. I am absolutely delighted to be joined from quite far away today. We have Courtney Teasley in our Zoom. I was going to say in our studio. The next best thing. Courtney, welcome to the Activist Lawyer podcast.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here with you all today, Sarah.
Oh, it's great. And we had a brief little chat there about accents and all the fun stuff. It's just lovely to have you here. And I've been reading a lot about your work and your activism in particular. And I just find it so fascinating. So I'm so excited to kind of drill into all the details as much as we can fit in here today. But first, let's go back in time to when you first decided, or if it was an instant decision, to go into law, and what or who influenced you to kind of spark your career in the legal world?
I love that question. Thank you so much for that. And also, again, thank you again for having me on your podcast. I love it. I think it is amazing, the work that you're doing. Now, what pushed me into this practice of law is I am from the United States, as you were telling people, but I'm from the southern part of the United States, right? And in the South, you kind of get used to a lot of different hardships, some oppressive behaviors, just around this kind of... It just is what it is, right? And so coming out, I started to recognize, because I am, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I am from what I like to call the D.A.M.M, D.A.M.M community, and that stands for disproportionately affected, marginalized minority community. So where I grew up, I was just able to see so many injustices, and one of them being my mom, who was a part of the crack epidemic. And that was a big thing back in the 80s, the war on drugs, and criminalized a lot of poor people, right, and who had drug issues versus rehabilitating them or whatnot. So they punished them. And my mom was a part of that. I grew up with my grandmother as a result, because my mom and dad were both heavy addicts. And so my mom, when she got into trouble, she got arrested, and she had crack, which she was a user. Now, no big deal, right? Let's charge her as a user. But no, here in the U.S. in general, police will overuse their authority. They will charge you with something higher than what you actually did in an effort to get you to plea. And that's what happened. They charged her as a seller, right? Because that was a higher felony. And her lawyer on the case was a public defender and did not look into didn't really even know about her client, didn't make an effort to know about her client, right? And so had she even done just the bare minimum, she would have seen, oh, she doesn't even have her children. She clearly isn't a seller. She's a user, and would have negotiated a plea within that range, which would not have affected her as much as it did when she allowed her to plead to a felony of selling. And so when I saw that, and I saw like, wow, this is a system that just by an officer thinking you probably did something pushes you into it. And then when you have lawyers who don't actually do their job, who just do the bare minimum, they're not actual disruptors, they're not fighters, they're just plea pushers, then you have what happened. And that made me mad. So it ignited me to go to law school. And that's when I went, and I was like, there's got to be some fighters, right? Somewhere. And so that was the trajectory into law for me.
My goodness. Well, thank you firstly for sharing your journey there. I mean, that's not easy, but it certainly has given you that energy and that fire, because you've done so much work as a result of, starting your career in law, which I'm sure many people are thankful for, because you have built such a great portfolio of cases and also your activism on the side of that, which we'll get into. But could you explain maybe to listeners what your desk looks like, but what your caseload looks like, I might say, because my desk is a disgrace. But
Sarah, if I turn this camera around, you would hang up this call right now and say, oh my God, it's so bad. Just what my caseload looks like. So I have been practicing this year. This is 2025. I've been practicing for 12 years this year. And I did mainly, when I first came out, I've always mainly done criminal defense, but at different parts of my career, I did family law, I did some veterans medical malpractice, but I ended my career with personal injury and criminal defense being the bulk of my cases, right?
Sure.
Which is the one that I love. And so I was able to make a lot of change in that area and actually see things that needed to be done because I worked so heavily there. But now, 12 years in, back in 2022, I had one of my first lawyer coaching clients. So I would coach lawyers on the side and help them start their own businesses, their own law practices, so they didn't have those golden handcuffs of the system or any kind of law firm they're working for, because you can only disrupt so much when you're working for someone else, right? And so I helped them come out and be able to make six figures their first year, but I helped them be able to see that, look, your profit and impact are attached. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, wow. I helped a judge. I unseated a judge here in Nashville. It was the first time it had ever happened in the city's entire history that a criminal court judge had been unsat. And so when I did that, I was like, oh, wow. We need way more of this, and not just unseating judges, but we need way more lawyers who have options. And going into private practice gives you options to do what you truly want to do as a lawyer. And so I brought myself out. I went and got certified as a business coach, so I could train more lawyers to do that and coach them, not only just coach them how to practice, not only just coach them how to make six figures, but how to make multi six figures, right? So the more profit that you're making, the more impact you are able to go out here in the world, the more initiatives you're able to create to assist others. You don't need the government to tell you how to help the people that need help. You are in the best situation, but you can't be struggling, right? And so that leaves the answer to your question is not many cases at all. I have like 3 criminal cases left that have been hanging on forever. Oh my God. And I cannot wait until they're done.
And listen, well, gosh, just on that, I was thinking about this and I was looking at your website and everything, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but in the UK and Ireland, and we're dealing with a lot of activist lawyers, name of the podcast, and human rights professionals, and they would really tend to shy away, I suppose, from publicising their own work or engaging in kind of justice campaigns. I know you've done a lot of that, and leaving a lot of the kind of grassroots activism to one side. But really, you've built a business that merges your mission as a lawyer with an entrepreneurial kind of element to it as a coach there as well. But what advice would you have for people who maybe are in this industry, within human rights, within criminal justice, that kind of hesitate to promote themselves or their work? How did you get around that, or did you have to, or was it just a natural kind of inkling?
Oh my God. Oh, first of all, that is a great question. I love that. So there are so many lawyers, right, that do this. They shy away. They don't want to talk about the work that they do. They don't want to market themselves for fear of, I don't know, looking braggadocious, or I don't know what it is. But the problem is then your ideal client is not able to hear from you, right? Your client, the people that you most want to help and serve, they don't know about you. It's like sometimes you just automatically assume. And here's the worst thing about lawyers. And I love us lawyers, but Lord Jesus, we love to stay in organizations that are lawyer heavy, right? So we're going to do all these boards and bars, and we're going to be a part of the, all of these different things where a whole lot of lawyers are a part of. And that's like the thing to do for the lawyers, but the lawyer's not your ideal client. The lawyers are not your ideal client, right? The people that you serve, you need to be in their organizations, right? You need to be speaking to them, because so many people didn't have the luxury of going to law school and learning the things that you naturally know, the way your brain strategically works. A lot of people didn't have that. And so when you are able to go and utilize what you naturally do and go into spaces where there aren't a lot of lawyers, right? Go into spaces where, again, people from the D.A.M.M community, disproportionately affected, marginalized minority, especially, I know here in America, Black Americans are 6 times more incarcerated than the 60% white majority. We only make up less than 14% of the entire U.S. So I would encourage you to look at who is coming in and out, who are the majority of the people you're representing, right? Who are the majority of the people that are patronizing you? And then you have to think, okay, well, if I really want to be effective, if I really want to make a difference, then what is the cost of my inaction? What is the cost of my inaction when I decide not to talk about how I help others?
Yeah.
What is the cost of that? Then people are not getting help. They're not getting the legal assistance they could be getting. What is the cost of you hiding what you have? And so that's how I challenge my lawyer coaching clients, is that I get it. Sometimes we're thinking, and here's the thing, they're hesitant to promote themselves because they have this little thing in their mind, which is, it's the left side of your brain. It is the negative side of your brain. And what you hear is that little voice that you hear whenever you want to do something. And it's saying, oh, you don't know enough. Oh, such and such would say this, or, oh, it's telling you all of these different things. And really what you have to acknowledge is that's not your voice. That is society. That is the archaic way that law practice has always been done. That is something that you have to disrupt because you see the bigger goal. You see that I have to talk about myself. I have to talk about some of the things I'm saying because all of the people are consuming content, at fast rates, and they're forgetting everything they see. But you got to stay at the top of their mind. You got to figure out how whether you're building an email list, whether you're doing a newsletter, whether you're popping on TikTok and talking about something, whether you're doing a YouTube, whatever it is, you have to stay at the top of their mind so they know how they can best utilize you.
Wow. And it's one of the reasons I was really interested in getting you onto the podcast, because I suppose the focus of our podcast, it's a platform for lawyers to share their work, but it also really shares an insight into their personality, their journeys into law. And I think young people in particular who are listening to that are quite inspired, because ordinarily you only know them because of the cases that they're associated with, which is the first and foremost. I think the client, will always come first. And the fact that they were successful in those cases, is how you get to know the person. Yeah. But we've had lawyers in here who've maybe been in practice for, 10, 20, 30 years, more than that. And they will say, I've never really been asked that by anybody. If you ask them, what inspired you to go into law? And they haven't really been asked it, unless they've done obviously lots of interviews before, but most of them haven't. So their focus genuinely is on the work. And it's always lovely to speak to somebody about their background and their career, but it isn't ordinary practice here. And I certainly know that quite a lot of practitioners, particularly I'm thinking of barristers, and they would shy away from it. But I think more and more we are seeing people coming out and, you know, using social media, etc., to share their work and what they do. But you take it to that next level, I suppose, with your coaching as well, that you're able to help others to do that. So that's fantastic. Just looking at your mission, which is really interesting, and this will get us into some of your work and, the fact that your mission is to disrupt oppressive systems and uplift those who are often silenced. Could you maybe elaborate on this and what it means for you personally and professionally?
Yes. And so for me, after practicing, so I did all the things in the criminal justice realm, right? Like I came out and I wanted to go into private practice. I was like, look, I want to do all the things. I don't need anybody putting any handcuffs on me, telling me what I can and cannot do. This is what I want to do. I went back to my old high school alma mater and I coached mock trial. And while I was there, and what I was telling you from the D.A.M.M community is a marginalized community, is a school that is thought of to be pretty bad, like a worse off school. They call it a high priority school.
Yeah.
Well, there, I get to go back and I get to educate the young people who are interested in mock trial, but to like really form them into warriors. They've never won or placed before, but when I come on, it's like, hey, no, we place each time and we got a competition medal each time. And so it's like, okay, yes, I love this. Making sure you guys know your legal literacy. I got it. Okay, now I'm over here at the HBCU, which is a historically Black college or university here locally in Nashville. I went and taught there in the criminal justice department. And I was able to create curriculum to actually teach the practical things we need to know. You know how lawyers we like a lot of theoretical. We just want to talk about this could be this or maybe this and live in the gray. No, when you're dealing with people who are 6 times more incarcerated than the 60% white majority, and then you're especially in the U.S. and in a place like Tennessee where I am, and our public school education, we're like one of the lowest. So we don't teach legal literacy. We're not teaching any of these things, but you'll send them to college and you'll give them this theoretical knowledge, and then it doesn't do anything for them. They can't translate that into what it actually means. So I created curriculum there, and then I came and said, okay, I got this here. Then I went over here and I started coaching lawyers. And then I'm going around the different states doing know your rights seminars, teaching legal literacy and advocacy and all of these things. Then I started training organizations on the knowledge they needed. Like, what are your rights as citizens? Like, a lot of people don't know that you can just come to the courthouse and actually sit in any courtroom and listen to what's going on. Right. And then you can go back and report to the community what you're seeing in real time, because oftentimes the great majority of the community doesn't come into the courtroom often. So you don't get to see these judges. You don't get to see these district attorneys. We call them the state. You don't get to see them look in their form, in what they're doing. And so when I say I disrupt oppressive systems, like, that is what I mean. I mean that I am innovative, and I get outside of the box and I go into the communities that are most affected, and I create the things that I know that will assist them, right, in uplifting them who are often silenced, which are the ones who are the majority incarcerated, because people discount them. They don't believe them. They'll say, even your own lawyer, sometimes your own lawyer won't listen to you or believe what you're saying. Your own lawyer might say, I don't know how we can prove that, or I'm not sure. And it's like, hey, look, I told you what occurred. I'm your client. Mm-hmm. What I need for you to do is to go find the evidence to fight my case. You help fight for me. You educate me. You help me along in this process. That's the job of the lawyer. So I literally, everything I do when I say I disrupt oppressive systems is that we come outside of the box of what the normal ways of practicing, the normal ways of engaging with the community. And I give them practical ways that they can be a part, practical ways they can use their power. My book series, I have a book series called The Easy Way to Learn Your Rights. I created that book series with barely any legal jargon, and I just get straight to the point. I have some illustrations. I show what it means. What it means. Like, this is what the Fourth Amendment means. Yeah. This is what the Fifth Amendment means. Okay, we know what it really means, but like, what do you say to activate it? What do you say to utilize it? So when I disrupt oppressive systems, I just mean it doesn't take a lot except speaking up, and or even if you're practicing, and sometimes people get scared, lawyers get scared to speak up because for fear of maybe someone else, maybe them having some kind of punishment from being mistreated by the judge or the state after they have done so. Well, then that's why you need to be engaged in the activist communities, kind of like you're doing, right? When you're engaged in these activist communities, well, then they can use their civic duties to see what's going on, and then they can help fight with you. So where you can't speak out or say certain things, they can push the message out. They can do some of the grunt work, that grassroots work with you, right? Yeah. So that's what I mean when I say that. It's like we got to come outside the box. We can't keep looking in this archaic system of practicing law.
It's so interesting. I think that conversation has reached us a little bit, in the sense that I was at a conference not so long ago, and they spoke about not creating a community of lawyers, but empowering the community with the tools that they need to understand the law. And, I think that's what the movement here is going towards as well, breaking down that system and those barriers that really kind of empower people to know their rights, as you've mentioned.
Yes.
So, brilliant.
That's huge. That is huge. I love that. And I love what you say, because that brings we were talking offline. I think you were telling me about how the Brian Stevenson book and Just Mercy. Yeah. Well, another book that is huge, and where the statistics were actually brought attention to the disproportionate rate that marginalized people were incarcerated, is The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. And in that book, it talks about exactly what you just said, Sarah. Like, listen, after the civil rights movement, because of the civil rights movement, all the fighting that we were doing to get equal rights, it became a mainly lawyer battle. Yeah. So we took it from grassroots, from the streets, we took it from the people, and it became mainly a lawyer battle, but that is ineffective. We don't need a whole, like, you need better lawyers. We already have lawyers. Yeah. So they just need power to be better, right? To actually to press harder. They need to be liberated from whatever mindsets they already have, or whatever kind of jobs are keeping them stuck in place. But the answer, it is empowering the community.
Yeah. It is, yeah. And
right,
even
with
that,
the legal literacy.
Yeah, and the traditional method here, I suppose, of the lawyer-client, keep the client separate to your work. I think you slowly see that breaking down, especially where there's activism, involved in whatever case is being taken. But you mentioned some stats around incarceration, and I know you educate widely on the topic and the indiscriminate treatment of people from minority and black communities. We're familiar with what happened to George Floyd, but indeed this is far from an isolated incident. And tensions at the moment are high in America. We covered Brian Stevenson's book, Just Mercy, which covers deep inequality in the criminal justice system in the 80s and 90s. We've seen reports on racially motivated attacks and incidents of violence in the US over the last few weeks, aimed at black and minority groups. But can you talk about what you have witnessed or experienced? I mean, what's the situation like for the communities that you work with?
Oh, it's bad. I'll say this, and I'm a person, when things are horrible, like sometimes I joke, and even though it's a serious subject, I joke about it because things are just so bad, and I'm not making light of it, but that's literally how I cope. Yeah. But in this, I joke and say that it feels like, and I'm a Harry Potter fan, like die hard. I love Harry Potter, and so I was telling another colleague, I said, it feels like when Voldemort came back in the Harry Potter series. Like, that's what it feels like here. It's so oppressive. Mm-hmm. It's so bad. You know what I mean? Especially when you're in different cities. So like when you're in, we our kind of party divisions, what blue and red and whatever, and you're in a majority red state, you are seeing a lot more. Like I'm in Tennessee, and our president just deployed the National Guard to our mainly black city, Memphis. And he's doing that. He did it in DC. He's just doing it. He's targeting places with, heavy black populations. And we had recently, right in Mississippi at a college, there's a young black man who was hung. He was hung. And this is sad. It's horrible. And these are the things that when I'm telling you, like, I mean, people are popping out. I mean, Cali, I know you guys were able to see probably on the news, like, ICE
Yeah.
popping out on immigrants and even people who are Americans, but they look like an immigrant. They're taking, I mean, it is crazy right now. And so it feels so oppressive. And what people have to understand is that the criminal justice system evolved from slavery, right? It evolved. It went to slave codes, to the black codes, and it went through Jim Crow, and then it comes up here to now in this day and age. It is just what is used to control the minority. And the problem, which, you guys are lawyers, and anyone who does criminal, I don't know you all's burden of proof, but I know that when someone is going into, when an officer is making a determination whether to arrest, that's just probable cause. Yeah. Probable cause just means, it's more probable than not that you did it, right? I don't even have to get it right. And then not taking into account even their motives and biases, right? And then you get somebody in the system, and then to move them through their first level, it's just probable cause. And then to continually get them on up to, it takes a lot to go to get to that beyond a reasonable doubt burden of proof that we get in a jury trial or bench trial. And 97% of people take pleas because they fizzle out.
Yeah. They
get nervous, scared to go to trial. They get, their lawyers not fighting for them. They're not confident in their representation. They're concerned. They see others, what's going on with them. So it's just a lot of different factors that go into that. So even if they're charged with something and they didn't do what they're charged with, they are likely to take a plea anyway to avoid harsher punishment. And so when you know that it's so easy to get into the system, and you start deploying the National Guard and basically militarizing the police. And, I was driving, where was I going? I don't know. I think I was going to the airport or something. And we saw our police department with some big old, I'm talking about a tank. They were coming down the street. We were like, now where are they going? And where did all this money come from?
Yes, exactly.
So it's like, and so they literally, to answer your question, if it looks bad on TV, 10x it. Okay? If it looks bad, what you're seeing, 10x it. Because that is what is occurring down here. They are utilizing the criminal justice system to actually fund. I mean, they've been building prisons. Yeah. They're making more and more prisons so they can. So it's and we're number one in the entire world for incarceration. So it's bad, guys. Yeah. I can affirm it for you.
It's horrific. So nothing has changed or evolved on that front. And in fact, it seems to be getting worse. But I'm also thinking about, you said, they're utilising the criminal justice system in that adverse way. There's a real sense that human rights advocates and practitioners in the US, particularly maybe those working in immigration cases, are being completely marginalised and demonised as well. Are you sensing that within your legal community? Because we've seen quite a lot of it here, and it's absolutely appalling that it has that level of support at government level.
Oh my God, Sarah, how timely. Yes, absolutely. The lawyers who do this work and the lawyers who truly fight in this work, they are demonized. I can give you myself as an example to start. Mm-hmm. I fought a case back in 2023. And it was known as #DisruptManchester. If you look that up on Instagram, it was a city outside of Nashville that took 5 Black children and forced them into foster care over a small amount of marijuana. When, as we all know, in multiple states, marijuana is legal. Yeah. And then hemp is legal here, and it looks and smells just like marijuana. Our TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, has already said they can't tell. Also, all these things. But they take their children and they put them into foster care. While I'm fighting this case, it usually takes a year to fight these types of cases. And I organize the community. I organize lawyers all over the U.S. to assist in this. So we're meeting every single week. We're strategizing. We're not playing. We want to get these kids out. So we're making sure all eyes are on them. And so while I'm fighting this case, I brought on a lawyer. And with this lawyer that I brought on, they reached out to us after so the court was trying to conflict us off the case,
Right.
and they filed a motion against us for sanctions and have us referred for prosecution for basically telling them all the wrong stuff that they had did. But their point was they wanted to be able to keep those kids longer, and so they knew if we came to court without other lawyers, they would get a continuance and try to hide and get all their stuff together. They had used rapid hair follicle tests, which are unreliable and cannot be used in cases like this. So they were doing all types of horrible stuff. Nobody was calling them out, right? And so I'm fighting this case, and they reach out they reach out to me to get on the case to help. They're like, oh, we're going to help. I bring them on. We only have like 48 hours before their hearing. They come onto the case, and this lady waives the preliminary hearing that we were there to have. She then files a bar complaint against me. She tries to get the clients to fire me. Like, it was so horrible. So literally on Monday of this week, I had the bar complaint hearing because they wanted to suspend my bar license over this. Right? They wanted to take my license over this. I'm talking, oh my God, it's so crazy. I lawyer up, I go, we fight, and it was dismissed upon motion for directed verdict. So the panel that heard it found that the board had not met their burden of preponderance of the evidence that I had intentionally and knowingly violated anything. And so that was a win. However, that costs, I have a bill for like $10,000 coming to me for, so to fight, you have, and that's the thing, right? To fight, to actually to prove yourself innocent, to have quality legal representation, you have to have money because you're punished for being poor. So this is what happens. And why were they going so hard after me? Because you don't want the young lawyers coming behind me to have any balls to fight either. You want them to be too scared to speak up, to say anything. But that's exactly why I fought that case, because I needed the ones behind me to know you got to fight back. Whatever you have to do, you have to fight back. You have to let the community know what's going, and the community was there. Plenty of people showed up to see exactly how they would handle that case. They wanted to see the evidence. And let me tell you this, Sarah, the one who complained on me, who did the bar complaint, she didn't even show up for the hearing. They didn't even put her on to testify. It was riddled with lies, all of these things. But the fact that they didn't even put her on as a witness, I was the only witness to basically, so that is the state of things. So I see it. It is true. Lawyers who fight back do get demonized, but you got to go within. And when you ignite the community to care as well, then you have better protection.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think you do need that community. And I mean, unfortunately, we're experiencing it here. And several solicitors and barristers have been completely discredited and struck off or under investigation or suspended simply because of the clients that they're representing. Like, there's a complete overreach there and a complete, undermining of the rule of law and of the profession itself. So while there's different scenarios at play between the US and what's happening here, it's a similar kind of system set up to attack lawyers, which we haven't seen in a very long time. And of course, the name of our podcast comes about from the government here, who marginalized and attacked primarily immigration lawyers. It was activist lawyers, lefty lawyers, all the rest. And I know that Trump and his buddies like to use similar slurs to demonize lawyers in the US. So horrific stuff happening. But look,
are we surprised?
No. I don't think we're surprised by Trump, but hopefully, I mean, there'll be enough of a kind of calling for that to suspend his, because I know it has been around the politicization of it, but I mean, it's just so dangerous.
But think about why they are, when you said that it's a similar system to attack lawyers, we got to look at it like this. Why? Because lawyers have the most power. Okay? If lawyers choose to use it. So that is why, to me, that's evidence of why you need to lean into private practice, why you have to lean deeper into these organizing and communities. And then I think UK lawyers should really understand, listen, all of those skills that y'all have could probably be used in the US as well, right? those skills that we have here can probably be used over there. So I think that there's a deeper conversation that has to come with, we're organizing in our own countries, our own states, our own cities. But maybe if we were to come together and do some organizing like I had to do with the lawyers around the U.S. to help get those kids, maybe something could come out of that. Yeah. So another topic maybe for another day.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to watch, and we really need our representative bodies to come behind this as well and do their job and give our lawyers the support that they need. It's crucial.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, look, you did mention their literacy, legal literacy, and I'm keen to find out more about your work around that. So as a strategist and an educator focusing on financial, civic and legal literacy, how do you approach in your teaching, because you do a lot of teaching as well, as you mentioned, within different community settings. Is this a way of rallying people around your mission as well? You did touch on it. Well, why do you think it's important? And is this another way to empower people?
Yes. So at the heart of everything I do, I'm a business coach. I'm a criminal defense lawyer, but out of all of those things, I'm an educator first, right? And so when I was doing it in my practice, remember I was telling you I was going around doing Know Your Rights seminars?
Yes.
And then when I started pivoting and training and coaching lawyers more, I created the Easy Way to Learn Your Rights book series when I knew I was coming out of private practice, because I knew I wanted to leave something for the community. So that way they had the knowledge that the things I wish my clients would have known when they were getting into trouble, or when they were having stops by the police or whatnot. And same thing with you, people from other parts of the world when you're coming here, right? Like, you need to know the law, especially if you're marginalized. Yeah. You need to know the law here, because it doesn't matter where you're from, you'll be affected by it. And so I started teaching legal literacy, and I also started I started doing some market research with different schools and colleges, administrators, principals, and I just started, kind of leaning into like, hey, do you guys teach any legal literacy anywhere? And they're like, no, but we do believe we should be. Usually the issue is underfunding. And then another issue I found was that teachers did not feel competent to teach legal literacy. They felt like, they felt like a lawyer should do it because they don't know, they didn't go to law school or whatever. And so that's a big reason why I put a syllabus in my book. So, I could educate teachers on how to teach others, because you don't have to be a lawyer to teach legal literacy. You don't have to be a lawyer to do any of that. And so I really got into the legal literacy and advocacy heavy early on and with my book series. And then when I fought that case I was telling you about, I created a framework. And I created the framework around it, Proactive Advocacy, which includes learning legal literacy, right? It included them learning innovative ways to fight back harmful systems, just like the one we were fighting, but it included empowering them to utilize their civic duties. But then it also included training them on the legal knowledge that they desperately needed but never received. So that is why I kind of leaned in there, because I looked around and I was like, there's nobody doing this. Why is nobody teaching this to us, And so I tried to fill that gap.
Brilliant. And a question that we ask almost all of our guests is around the relationship between activism and the law and the legal system. But I feel like you have answered that question in every single answer we've discussed, because you're actually living that. But just for the sake of it and in general, what do you think can the relationship, I suppose, between grassroots activism or campaigning or activism in any sense and the law create meaningful societal change?
Oh, say that again. Say that one more time. Give me that question.
I went a bit long-winded there, I will admit. But
it's okay. That was okay. You got my mind thinking on it good. I was like, hold on, let's say that one more time.
Yeah. So just in terms of the relationship between activism and the law and creating meaningful societal change and, real tangible change, I guess, that affects the whole community.
Yes. So how to do it, or why do I do it?
Just comment. You clearly do it, which a lot of people have their thoughts on it, but you're actually doing it probably every single hour of the day in your work. Yeah. So yes, it doesn't really apply to you because you have answered it. But I suppose the importance of it, and
what's the importance? Yeah. I see. Okay. So listen, I try to hit every side of this for people who maybe find it hard to understand. Like, I try to hit the business side of it and let people know, okay, well, it only makes good business sense to serve. I mean, here's the kicker. I don't know about over in the UK, but I know in the US, nobody wants a trash lawyer. Right? Nobody wants a trash lawyer. People want somebody who fights for them. Mm-hmm. Right? And everybody's fight looks different. I have a fight framework that I created for my lawyers. And so it's like everybody's fight looks totally different. Right? Your fight may not be like mine. I'm the loud lawyer, right? I'm a loud lawyer. I'm gallant, going to get people. Like, that's just who I am. I've always been that kind of way. Yeah. However, lawyers that I coach, and I'm training them to free themselves from these handcuffs, right? And so they're different. Mm-hmm. One may not be loud. One may not, they might not even like controversy, or, they may want to hide or whatnot, but your fight for your client still has to be intense. The legal fight for your client. That means filing all the motions. I don't care who's going to be mad about it. Yeah. Right? That means challenging all the evidence. I don't care who's going to be angry about it. I don't care what they said. You know what I mean? Well, it's so clear they did it. Oh, well, listen, you have a burden of proof to meet. It is your burden to prove this case. Right? And I'm gonna file every single thing. I'm gonna go to the scene. I'm gonna collect evidence. I'm gonna speak with witnesses. I'm gonna take pictures. I'm going to challenge any kind of blood. I'm gonna challenge. I am going to fight. And if you're saying my client did this, well, now I don't. Well, look, I'm gonna go get a toxicologist to actually, I'm gonna get an expert, because you're not an expert in everything just because you're a lawyer. And sometimes judges forget that too. They think they're an expert in everything. No, you're not. I'm gonna go get somebody. So, to me, that's activism. That's legal activism. And it's like we often engage in a passive practice of law. And nobody wants that. And it doesn't have to be intense. It doesn't have to be loud. But it just needs to be a fight. When you need to educate your ideal client on everything, let them be an active participant. Don't assume that they're dumb and don't know enough and you just know more than them. Talk with them. Go to their organizations. Go to their churches. Go ingrain yourself in that community. Go see how they grew up. See how they're living. See what they had to go through. Like, do more than the bare minimum. And I swear to God, you're doing that's activism. Right? That is activism. And then when you do that and couple that with educating the organizations, just going and naturally being a part of the organizations that are doing this work, reaching out to them and not just waiting for them to reach out to you and ask you something. Like, you reach out to them. Hey, you mind if I come to a seminar on ABCDFG? I've been seeing a lot of this going on in court. I think the community could benefit from this. Yeah. Do you think you would mind if I come to this church and I'm going to talk about ABCDFG, like whatever it is? That is activism. But listen, guess what it also is? It's marketing. Okay? It's marketing as well, because now you are seen in the community as someone who cares. You're not just there to take their money. You're not just there to, charge high prices or whatever. You actually are in the community. You're vested in the community. And so when you show the community that, it ripples. Other people want to do it as well. Other lawyers want to come out and be a part of it. The community wants to know more. They're getting educated. So it's a win-win for everyone. So and again, I'm in America. And so I get that, there's different things, different thought processes. But when I tell you guys that activism doesn't have to look the same, and I think they demonize that word, being an activist. Well, let's just move that out the way. I'm just an advocate. I'm an advocate for what's right. I'm an advocate for the D.A.M.M community, the disproportionately affected, marginalized minority, the people who are often not listened to, the people who are often looked over. I'm just an advocate for them. That's it.
That's it. Brilliant answer, Courtney. And look, for anyone finally who is listening to you today and is interested in following, I suppose, an alternative legal career path, because we haven't had anybody on with all of those. You've so many strings to your bow, both practitioners, strategist, educator and coach. For anyone who's listening who'd like to follow in your footsteps, what advice might you have for them? And, what can you offer them?
Listen, if you just want to know, first of all, you can follow me on YouTube at Black Law Girl. I have a YouTube called the Black Law Girl Rant, at Black Law Girl. So follow me there, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me over on Instagram, wherever you can find the Courtney Teasley, my name. And what I do is I coach for a company called Hello 7. So I coach multiple marginalized entrepreneurs in building their businesses from 0 to 7 figures. That's where I pivoted to. In my own private coaching practice, I coach lawyers. So I coach lawyers to unleash themselves in whatever realm they want. If they want to grow their law practice, they want to scale their law practice, then we're doing that. If you want to create another business, you want to have books, you want to do more speaking, you want to do, whatever it is, you just want to take more vacations, whatever it is,
every lawyer,
what you want, right? Whatever you want. You want to be a disruptor. You want to, we have a whole, I have a whole training on being an advocate, right? A D.A.M.M advocate, disproportionately affected, marginalized minority advocate, that I teach to grassroots organizations and lawyers. And the thing is, I need everyone to understand that if you're a lawyer and you're listening, the fact that you're a lawyer does not make you an advocate. You have to choose to be an advocate. Every advocate is not a lawyer, and every lawyer is not an advocate. And so if you want to take that first step, you want to just figure out what the next pathway looks like for you, I'm going to open up, I have a Loud Legacy building session. You can book it with me on my Calendly. It's free. Let's just pop on. Let's just talk it through. What do you want to do? And then I'll help you create that pathway.
And we will share links to Courtney's work in our show notes that will attach to today's recording. Courtney Teasley, it has been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and to talk to you today. It's just been really, really fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I agree. Same. It has been great speaking with you. I love talking to my sisters across the pond, and I definitely will be there again. And I would love to connect with you all, and maybe we can do entire, let's listen to what you all's rights are and what that looks like, and then create that over there. Maybe we put on a similar thing that we do here in America, but with the UK's laws and regulations, and inviting the community in. I'm a roll up my sleeves and let's get the work done type person. So call me in. I love to come speak, love to come train, do whatever you need me to do.
Fantastic. We could do with some of that around here. Thank you so much, Courtney. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you.
Thanks everyone for joining me today. If you like the show, please remember to share and leave a review if you have a moment. And you can also check out our website, www.activistlawyer.com, where you will see some blog articles written by our guests and contributors, as well as some fabulous Activist Lawyer merchandise.
This podcast was recorded in Granite Podcast Studio. Interested in starting up your own podcast but don't know how? Granite Podcast Studio can help. Record your podcast in our state-of-the-art studio, which is based in the heart of Newry City. Our studio has cutting-edge and user-friendly technology and can seat up to 4 people. We also provide an editing service for our team, using your guidance and editing notes to provide you with a flawless finished product, leaving your listeners wanting more. For more information on how you can get started, visit www.granitepodcaststudio.com.